Denny Hamlin says Joe Gibbs Racing would cease to exist if they'd paid Kyle Busch what he was asking for, and NASCAR officially gets an invite to Le Mans. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Before we react to the latest news, if you're new to the channel and you love stock car racing, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. Yesterday, NASCAR and Hendrick Motorsports confirmed that the Garage56 Le Mans entry will sport the iconic Hendrick Motorsports number 24. The 24 Hours of Le Mans will take place on June 10th and 11th this year. Jimmy Johnson, Mike Rockenfeller, and Jenson Button will drive NASCAR's Garage 56 entry. And yesterday, NASCAR officially accepted their invitation to this historic race. Not that there was ever any serious doubt, but yesterday's announcement reminded me of a tweet I saw a couple weeks ago from, I believe, reporter Matt Weaver. Somebody I encourage you to follow. You probably already are, especially if you love American short track racing. But back at Daytona, when NASCAR revealed the paint scheme, the livery for their Garage 56 car, they also revealed the spec sheet. You can see how the Le Mans car compares to a current NASCAR Cup Series Chevrolet. And feel free to pause the video and read through this line by line if you're interested. Some highlights. The Le Mans car is about 500 pounds lighter than a current NASCAR stock car. Obviously some changes to the body, paddle shifters. But what I want to focus on and what Matt Weaver focused on was the engine specs. Because the Le Mans engine and the current NASCAR Chevy engine don't appear to be much different. This is what Matt Weaver actually tweeted. Not totally sure that engine befits the conceptual spirit of Garage 56. What does he mean by that? Well, the Garage 56 entry is traditionally reserved for a car, a vehicle that's deemed to be innovative in some significant way. I went back and found a motorsport.com article from last May, like 9 months ago, and it read, the race organizer, the ACO, has confirmed that acceptance of the entry from Hendrick Motorsports for the grid slot, reserved for what it describes as an innovative car, is dependent on the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 running an energy recovery system. ACO President Pierre Fillon told motorsport.com, quote, it has to have a hybrid system. Well, you saw that spec sheet, and unless I'm just blind and just an idiot, there's nothing there that says this car's a hybrid. It's the same engine system basically as a current Cup Series car, which are not hybrids. But apparently NASCAR has been invited to Le Mans anyways. I can't help but feel like this is now a wasted opportunity. Sure, it's great for NASCAR to promote their brand on a large international stage. That's fantastic. But the point of this car was also to test some key components that could potentially make their way onto an actual Cup Series car someday. In some ways, this has already happened. There were aero elements tested on the Garage 56 car that will be used in some form or fashion on the actual Cup cars at road courses and short tracks this year. But NASCAR has been talking about hybrid engines for a while now. They've been planting that seed for at least a couple of years. Now, you more than likely watched the Super Bowl. Every single car commercial during the Super Bowl was promoting either electric or hybrid vehicles. It's just the truth. Eventually, if NASCAR wants to continue getting large support from OEMs like Toyota, Ford, and Chevy and others, they're gonna have to go hybrid, I believe. So with this Garage 56 deal, I don't know if they ran out of time, if they ran out of money, if they just couldn't find a system that worked the way they wanted it to. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, not running a hybrid engine of some sort, something truly innovative at Le Mans, is a wasted opportunity, in my opinion. I'm still excited. This is going to be really cool. A great PR move, if nothing else, but it could have been more. That's just me. Now, we've kept up with the Kyle Busch, Joe Gibbs Racing, now Richard Childress Racing saga for the past year plus. What's done is done, and now Kyle Busch, just 2 races in, is already a winner with his new team, Richard Childress Racing. But this week, Busch's former teammate, Denny Hamlin, gave his take on Kyle Busch's JGR departure on his podcast. Hamlin said, quote, people have to understand that Joe Gibbs wanted to sign Kyle Busch. They really tried, and they gave him a very, very good offer, but he did not want to take it and ended up taking probably a lot less at RCR because he had run out of options. this lines up pretty closely with the story I think many of us have heard over the past few months. The rumor is that Kyle Busch was offered a good deal at the end of 2021 to stay with Joe Gibbs Racing. It was for less money than he had been making, but he still would have been one of the higher paid NASCAR Cup Series drivers. Kyle Busch, according to the rumor, turned this deal down, thinking he would get a better contract once JGR found a replacement for Mars M&Ms. And then this is where the story got a little more public. Of course, 2022 starts. Kyle Busch does not have a sponsor. The Oracle deal falls through. Ty Gibbs in Xfinity wins like 3 races in the first month or so. That's when reality started to set in. It hit Kyle Busch that he's not going to get a better offer from Joe Gibbs Racing, so he started to look elsewhere. RCR was likely the best available offer, even though what they were offering was still probably less than what JGR initially offered at the end of 2021. Busch basically admitted this when he told reporters last fall that, he and his family's lifestyle was going to have to change. So anyway, going back to what Denny Hamlin said on his podcast, I think what he's saying lines up pretty closely with the story, with the rumor that we've all heard in recent months. But Denny Hamlin continued to give his take on the whole deal. Hamlin said, quote, "That company," referring to JGR, "would cease to exist if they had to pay Kyle what he was demanding, especially after losing Mars. It would be impossible. They had to make a business decision to stay in business." Some strong words from Denny Hamlin there, who clearly sees the whole scenario as black and white. JGR had only one right choice. Is that entirely true? We'll probably never know. Remember, Kyle Busch said middle of last year that he was willing to make concessions to stay at JGR. Translation? Kyle Busch was willing to take less money. Was he willing to take enough of a discount? Did JGR need him to take even less? Keep in mind, we're reacting to Denny Hamlin's comments, and I'm not going to call Denny Hamlin biased, but I think it's safe to say he's going to lean towards Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing, the 2 companies that currently employ him. And throughout this podcast, Hamlin doesn't say anything about how Gibbs was trying to find sponsors for Kyle Busch, how late in the game were they still trying to find sponsors, at what point did they decide, no, we're just going to go with Ty Gibbs. Hamlin doesn't talk about any of that. On Twitter, I saw reporter Kelly Crandall mentioned an interview Kyle Busch did with Tom Rinaldi on Fox right before the Daytona 500. So I went back and actually found the clip.
It was Coach's personal money. He was putting up his personal money to pay me. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Like, that's just not right.
So Kyle Busch almost makes it sound like he was doing Joe Gibbs a favor by not taking his money. I don't really know what to believe. The timelines are all jumbled up at this point. And honestly, does it even really matter? If M&M's doesn't pull out, Kyle Busch does not leave Joe Gibbs Racing. If Joe Gibbs Racing was willing to piece together smaller sponsorship packages the way RCR has, then perhaps Kyle Busch would have stayed. Ultimately, Joe Gibbs had to decide if it was worth paying Kyle Busch a lot with no guarantee of sponsorship, or if it made more sense to go with his grandson, much cheaper, who also brought some Monster Energy backing and just won an Xfinity title. We can argue about whether or not Toyota should have agreed to foot some of the bill to keep Kyle, but ultimately they bought the ticket, they'll take the ride. Toyota's gonna have to deal with the repercussions of that decision for potentially several more years. The reason I'm talking about this, and the reason Denny Hamlin brings it up on his podcast, is because Kyle Busch has gone through a sort of character arc in the eyes of many fans the past few months. He was cheered after winning at Auto Club this weekend, nearly unanimously. I did not hear any boos over the broadcast. Nothing but positive cheers. Was it a hometown crowd, pretty close to Las Vegas? Is it just Chevy fans? Is it just RCR fans? Do some fans hate Toyota that much that the moment you leave, no matter what you've done in the past, you're suddenly a fan favorite? I mean, Denny Hamlin on his podcast is clearly trying to do a little damage control, doing a little PR work for Gibbs and for Toyota. I think Denny Hamlin, like me, reads a little too much Twitter, scours the internet far and wide, and if you just read social media comments, I think a lot of fans genuinely believe it was always Joe Gibbs' plan to drop Kyle Busch in favor of Ty. And I'll be honest, I do not believe that's the case. Clearly, Denny Hamlin does not believe that's the case. And now it sounds like Kyle Busch is even saying that's not true. Joe Gibbs was going to pay me out of his own pocket. But the way a lot of fans see it is that Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing screwed their best driver for their spoiled grandson. That's the narrative that many fans are running with. And there's probably some truth to it, but I think there's a lot of truth to what Denny Hamlin and now even Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs Racing are saying. But wow, Kyle Busch is now being cheered after wins. That's not something I thought we'd see anytime soon, at least. We'll likely never know for sure exactly how Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs' relationship went downhill, how those negotiations fell through, but hope you enjoyed this video. I want to hear what you think down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave it a like. If you're new to the channel, like I said, you love NASCAR, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And thank you to my Patreon supporters for continuing to support the show. I will see you all again very, very soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for watching.